way. You're going to see Jesus before I do, and I'm a little jealous. So that was the last song, verse of one of those songs, and it's like, that's what I encourage you. This is what's ahead. This is faith. So she's walked through it, and now it's her time. Open to anybody?
Susie had a very distinctive smile. I only got to know her, though, after she had her stroke. And we would do a study together, and Kathy was part of that, and Rachel was part of that. And we would go to her care home and go through some of the Leanne pain material. And while she was obviously struggling in the suffering of being sort of trapped in her body and unable to do the things she wanted to do, one day she had just like this wonderful moment of submission and clarity where she said, you know, I remember I was having an argument with a neighbor over the fence, and it just got really prickly, got really acrimonious, and then I couldn't wait from that argument saying, God, this isn't how I want to be. I don't want to be that person. She says, the next day I had a stroke. And I really think that God is, that's an answer to my prayer. So obviously when we go through tough times that God allows in us, it's not comfortable, and we're all going to grouse a little bit, and we're all going to fight a little bit. But underneath it all, Susie understood that God had a purpose in it, that it wasn't arbitrary, it wasn't cruelty. It was Him answering her prayer to make her the person that she knew she wanted to be.
I grew up in the Diocese of San Joaquin. My dad was a priest, first in Savior in Christ Church, then in the North. And I was a high school student when Susie Gazlay and Cindy Hoover, her partner in crime, would come down to Christ Church and provide music for us because we were without a musician. And so the Cathedral Church lent her out to us, which is the ministry of the Cathedral, right? To provide resources to churches that don't have them. And we were one of them. And she would come routinely, faithfully, and my dad always played guitar, but I could never be taught by my dad to play it. You get it. Your parents are not the ones. You didn't quite have the bandwidth or the patience. Neither did I. But Susie saw an interest, identified with Carol's story, and invested in me. And she made a copy of that opus book for me, and she brought me up there. Dad let me use his guitar because he was officiating and all. And it was just like, yeah, strum that D, and just play along. And as I reflect back on that, I mean, that's basic discipleship. Come alongside me and do what I'm doing. I know a lot more than you, and I'm going to pass it on to you, and we'll walk together. And Susie, in that way, helped form me and prepared me for my ministry and my vocation as a priest in particular, I think. And when I came back to the diocese to ordain a priest in order to serve here, the diocesan offices were already on this campus, and I came from Los Banos, right in St. Albans, and for the first time for a meeting with the bishop here on this campus, and Susie was rolling in her chair. I was like, oh my God, it's Susie Gazlay. We had this wonderful little encounter. She gave me some of her opinions and thoughts about the location of the church, where it's currently at, and these sort of things. But she was a member of then St. James in exile. And then I came to her church, and I was able to be her pastor and to share in a ministry team of so many of you, to come alongside her and help her develop as a disciple too. And it's amazing how God connects these things and organizes these things. It's not happenstance, it's not haphazard, it's providential.
I've known Susie for a long time. I was at St. James for a long time with her, and then I went to family camp too for, I don't know, maybe 25 years. And the person that you saw here at St. James, that was definitely Susie, but the Susie at camp was, it was the same, but it was kind of on steroids. And I can't explain the joy that she had with the kids, teaching them how to play bells, and we'd always had a campfire at night, and we still do. And all the kids, if they were allowed to stay up that late, which usually they got to, because there were a ton back in the day. And she would go from having these quiet, wonderful worship songs to having this, I can't even explain what it was around the campfire. Some of them were made up songs, some of them were like when we were kids and went to camp, it was just, you know, I don't know. But she would lighten up her face, and she was just, the joy that she had being around the kids and doing the music was really amazing. She had her hard points. Her and I butted heads quite a few times, but it was always in love and we went through it. But yeah, just family camp with Susie was fun. So then when Susie finally started having her little strokes and stuff and was losing the ability to do the stuff, all the kids that, gosh, for some of them 40 years, anyway, all the younger ones who had come up where she had taught them to play the guitar, how to play bells, all the stuff, now they were hovering around her, helping her. And it was really a neat cycle.
I met Susie in preparation for the consecration of John David. And she lived in Inverness, and we lived over here, and we had a children's choir at St. James. And there was this grand plan, probably hers, to combine for the music for the consecration. And so we worked through telephone calls, and I never really met her until the actual time of the event. And we met over at, I was a junior band teacher at that time. We all met over there, rehearsed together, and that was the beginning of our relationship. Should also mention one of her main ministries was the Poverello House. Years and years, every fourth Sunday, meet and organize a little church service at Poverello. And even after the stroke, the woman was amazing. She would get on a bus and meet us at Poverello, and then get on a bus and go back. And, actually, sometimes come to our house and hang out with our doggies. And she's an amazing lady. And this is good.
Back in about 1989, 1990, I was attending the little mission in Clovis at that time. And I had been praying to the Lord because I lost my sister-in-law who I could sing with. And there wasn't really anyone else there that I could really sing with. And I just asked the Lord to send someone that I could sing with. And one day, this lady showed up, and she had a guitar, and she could sing. And I think I'm probably, of everyone here that's not from Inverness, I probably have known her the longest, because I met her there at Church of the Resurrection, and I told her, I think you are an answer to my prayer, because I asked the Lord to send me someone to sing with, and I had many years of enjoying singing with Susie. And the Poverello ministry was definitely a meaningful one, very meaningful. We not only had an opportunity to sing, but we actually had an opportunity to preach a little bit, because we had a little homily time. So that was exciting and new and different, and fun to learn to do that. And I went to camp. I've been to camp with Susie, and special nights where we had prayer nights up there. Nothing but candlelight and a few of those lovely little lights that we had that were out everywhere. And throwing music cards everywhere as we're singing song after song. And Susie had such a memory. And just an inner fire of music, just amazing. And she sang with the Pacific Chorale for a long time. And of course, she started the bell choir. I was original member in that. Bell choir, bell choir. We're kidding, bell choir. And that ministry was lovely. It was lovely to have someone that knew what they were doing and help us utilize those instruments. So I thank God, even though like Melinda, Susie, and I butted heads, which was painful to me, because I knew that she was the answer to my prayer. But I couldn't get her to understand that all the time. Yeah. Two strong personalities that know that I'm right? Yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem. But anyway, I still was very blessed to know Susie and the legacy that she left behind. Because like Carol said, we still have that with us. We still have a book this thick of music that Susie got together, put together, that we can use at camp, that we can use at other gatherings. And what a blessing that is. And what a great gift to leave behind. So,
music and
yeah, a lot of the music, she figured out the chords, and she put it on finale on the computer. Yeah, she was very skilled that way. But one thing that hasn't been mentioned that much that I knew about Susie was that she worked with AIMS, which is a math and science program. Yeah. And she was based out at Pacific College. And that woman was smart. She was doggone smart. She made up all kinds of songs, science songs, that went along with books which she wrote and or edited. And, you know, she just really, as long as she was living and able to, the one thing I knew about Susie was she just really put all of her time into just doing. And I would hope that I do half of that. She was amazing in that way. So I thank God for the chance of getting to know her and the blessing that she left behind to us in the music resources.
I met Susie in 2007 at Echo and family camp. She held my son when he was literally just a couple months old. He's now 18, getting ready to graduate from high school. But I was telling Carol a few minutes ago, we all know Susie loved dogs. We actually had Susie's dog for a little while when she couldn't care for him after her stroke. But, and I'm a rule follower to the max. But
I literally snuck them under my jacket because it was the middle of winter, so she could have some little dog legs on her face. And so that was just one of the many memories with Susie.
First off, I have to say that I feel like I walked back into St. Louis. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just, so it was because of Susie that we ended up at St. James. Ever grateful for it. Bill Choir, so many memories. My daughter, who had such a wonderful music experience and it took it on to high school and everything, even after Bill Choir. And the one thing that popped back up that made me really giggle is when we did the women's retreat. First time I did the women's retreat. And it mortified my husband, who was raised as a Catholic. She had me dance. For the women's retreat. Mark was just, you don't dance in church. So, it brought me back to what I was gifted with. I was not gifted as a musician. I could play, definitely can't sing. But just things that, just so many memories, and I'm so happy to see so many from St. James. I miss you guys very, very much. And Mark is very sad that he couldn't be here today.
Come join us.
We sent him on.
10:30.
Right here.
I gotta get him off the hill. We're up in God's country. Father Carlos, I think of you all the time, especially in the summers when, or even right now, I just take off into the back country or off the grid with my dogs because I'm comfortable with them. They will tell me, and just find the Lord. And find the Lord out there and all the beauty that, even in the little itty bitty mushrooms, that He's placed out there. So, yes, I've been hiking the backcountry by myself with the dogs because Mark doesn't like to hike.
I'm Sarah Miller, and I'm at Holy Cross. We meet up in Sanger. And Melinda and I were discussing going to see someone who needs to be visited. And just randomly, she told me, well, she couldn't do it that day because Susie's funeral was today. And he was quite a shock because you always think you're just going to have more time to go. And you don't go. I'm so sorry, Carol. I know I said I would. Susie and Carol and I made a lot of wonderful music at the women's retreats, and it meant a lot to me. And Susie was funny because everything was a song. So we did discipleship, and we had to say we memorized the reading for that week, and also remember the one from the week before. And so I got to putting it to music. Behold, I stand at the door and knock, should Somebody said, oh, that's how Susie did it last year. So, anyway, I haven't seen her for a long, long time, but she's just deep in my heart. Such a talented, gifted person. Politically, we were on other ends of the spectrum, but Carol always kind of stepped in and
Margaret, the diplomat, Carol.
Remember that? I would take her things at her house, like fruit or almonds or something from the farm, and her neighbor across the street would look like, why are you at Susie's house? And I thought, well, she didn't look so, this was before she was ill. And I thought it was just so like Susie that her whole neighborhood was watching out for her. So we all love Susie.
person that helped with the care of Susie, and that's Naomi. She was her first hospice nurse and for a couple years, and then retired, and loved Susie so much, she visited her anyway. So Betty hired her to be a companion care for Susie. She visited Susie 2 to 3 times a week. And if you're noticing these little boxes, she discovered, tell us the secret you discovered.
Well, Susie, she had to be fed. She had to be fed. And so she doesn't eat real well, and she was getting so thin. I don't know if you remember her, but she was getting so thin. So I thought, I'll put one of these junior mints in her mouth and see if she ate it up. She loved it. So it started a new adventure of junior mints. And then when I was at Walmart, I noticed these cheesecake wedges. You buy just the wedge. So I brought one of those. Oh, she really, so we had a lot of fun. Stuff like that. It was my only response communicated with her through food.
So the cheesecake is in honor of, I'm sure Susie lived as long as she did, because Any other stories? She didn't visit her towards the end. She almost turned 79. She did not have one gray hair. And she had hardly any wrinkles. I believe there's a mystical fruit expressed in her because of the network of prayer that you all represent. And I send out emails to maybe 30 different people, but I know within that they were passing things on. She really was buoyed by a network that I think it was a grace. That this was just 7 days before she died. She had no bed sores, which is incredible. Yes. Very, very unusual. Thank you, Lord. Thank you all for coming. All this is being passed on. Hi, Jeannie, her sister, down in Southern California, wish she could have been here and just was not able.
Looks like there's still some giraffes on the table that need homes. So.
Yes. Giraffes, take pictures. I might use these. God bless you and thank you for coming.
Find something, send it to Tiffany. I've had to downsize just so much. I've gone from 100 square feet down to maybe 650.
Tiny home now.
Bigger than a tiny home, but smaller than the normal. And we're perfectly good. We're still with a big outdoor.
Are you still doing horses?
Yes.
Yeah, they were
Yes. I'm right out there. Yes, we have adults with us, but it's the kids that like to hang out with us. We're all goofy and they're doing somersaults and cartwheels and just being absolutely actually, this was so my dad passed away 4 years ago, well, 2 years ago, a neighbor I found out And she's like, no, Mom, I need to be up at I am back.
He can say I had to walk up. If you have a problem with me, what's your problem? Well, I brought that. He kept walking forward. You guys, I tried.
They chose to live in Hartford, which is when they tornado in 30 years. Last year, they've been there
And you know what? I have one now. We've got all kinds of stuff. I have one more.